everyone's still under the impression that we are post-Brexit, but we're not. We're post-vote.
James, firstly, we've just had Brexit, which, straight away saw, had quite a dramatic effect on the pound. What type of long-term effect will we see in the pound?
I think it's damaging, it is extremely damaging. I think the problem is that people are still, everyone's still under the impression that we are post-Brexit, but we're not. We're post-vote. So I think the damaging effect's going to come afterwards. So I think, low interest rates at the moment, albeit it's good for the consumer when it comes to borrowing and, getting the economy going. It still offers a little way of investment from overseas. So the standard investor is not going to be looking into the UK for returns now. So you're going to have a lot of outside investment being put off for people going into the UK now, and that effectively is going to bring the pound down. So again, even the way that people are sort of viewing this at the moment, Britain is sort of isolating itself from Europe, and that isolation comes with uncertainty. And in this market, especially at the moment, I believe uncertainty isn't what the normal investor's going for. They're not being as cautious, as risky as they were 10 years ago. They're going to be a bit more cautious. So I think the pound is going to be under some scrutiny, even over the next sort of 2 years, definitely, and even up until afterwards. We're not going to see the real value of the pound until we do a full Brexit from obviously from the Eurozone.
And as well as with the pound having a lot of volatility and losing a lot of its value, the euro, on the other hand, has also been quite volatile since the referendum result was announced. Do you think we will continue to see that volatility in the long term as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a catch-22 in that sense. The eurozone is weaker without the UK. So there's a sort of a trade-off between the two. We're seeing it on euro dollar at the moment. It's kind of sort of sitting at sort of a gentle range and hasn't really started to move yet. So I think investors again are waiting to see what happens with the UK, because the eurozone is stronger with the UK in it. And I think the devaluation of sterling against euro is quite unjust. I think the pair should be, realistically at true value, be sitting around the 125 mark. But I think, again, it's kind of, is Britain a catalyst for other nations to potentially break away? I think we've seen some flaws suddenly, come out of the Eurozone since Brexit happened. You're having, more extremist political movement and parties coming out of potentially France and Italy, which are looking for secession from the EU as well. Is Britain going to be a catalyst for a complete Euro breakup? I mean, I've always kind of been a Eurosceptic, but I've kind of warmed to it over the years I've been in finance. And I think people are kind of getting fed up now of the EU as a model. And I think they would try and, want to replicate what Britain is doing, although they don't know the full repercussions. I think the UK could really be the catalyst that could break up the Eurozone. So for me, I think there's going to be some testing times over the next decade or so, and to see how many countries are left within the bloc, and also, how long the Eurozone will last. But in my eyes, I think the euro will weaken on that uncertainty, the same way as sterling is going to be marred from it as well. There's definitely going to be uncertainty, and over the next decade or so, you're going to see the euro swing dramatically against most majors, because of, another potential big country maybe leaving it, not just the UK.
And so for the UK and for its economy, what do you think are the next steps that it should take?
It's a tough question, because it's kind of already implemented the standard practice that central banks do, is cut interest rates. It makes saving less attractive, so borrowing is more, so it boosts the amount that's being spent, kickstart the economic recovery. We've seen this already in 2008. We've seen it across Europe already. But what are the next steps? The thing is, I don't know. I don't think the general public in the UK know, because it's been kind of hush-hush. Like, when is Article 50 going to be invoked? When is it going to happen? You know, I think people are quite. People are annoyed of what's happened. You know, you've had Farage, you've had Johnson, you know, who were massive advocates of the Leave campaign. You know, just leave their posts after saying that their job's been done, and then it's been sort of left out. Cameron left, May's come in, said she won't do anything until the elections have been sorted out in Europe. But, you know, when is that? Is that next year? Is that 2017? Are we going to be at the end of 2017? When are we going to see an actual plan for what we decided to vote for back in June? So I think the Bank of England are doing what they can to sort of, you know, stem the flow and trying to, you know, bring up the economy. But the real elements that come into it are us knowing, you know, the British people and the UK and Europe knowing what the next step is. Is the next step to sit down and speak to the guys about what kind of deal the UK is going to negotiate coming out with? How are we going to react to this? Or what kind of deal are we getting? When are we sitting down with the European leaders? Are we going to be waiting until after the elections? Which makes sense, because you need to know who you're dealing with afterwards in case they're not the same people in the seat at the end. So, you know, the next steps are waiting to see how we are going to react after Brexit and what negotiations are going to take place. Until that happens, there's no real clear path in my eyes.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think whether you were pro-Remain or pro-Leave, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this develops, particularly once Article 50 is invoked, if it gets invoked. So, James, thank you so much for coming and sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you.
That's all from myself and James in the Geneva office. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and a comment on our website, dukascopy.tv.